Listen, I've been around the galaxy for 3 centuries, and I thought I'd seen everything. I mean, everything. From the gas-breathing Viridians who literally fart their way through space, to the quantum jellyfish of Nebula 7 who exist in 4 dimensions simultaneously. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for what happened on Station Omega 5 last week. My name is Krix Valderin, and I'm what you might call a cosmic consultant. Fancy title for someone who fixes problems that other species create when they mess with things they shouldn't. And oh boy, did the Theraxians mess up this time, big time. It started 3 months ago when those arrogant, scale-headed morons decided they were smarter than every other civilization in the known universe. The Theraxians, bless their cold-blooded hearts, had discovered something in the deepest trenches of their homeworld. Something that had been sleeping for millions of years, something that should have stayed that way. It's a biological weapon, announced General Thane Korthax during the emergency council meeting. His voice crackled through the quantum communicator with all the confidence of someone who'd never seen a real monster. We've successfully awakened and contained the ancient predator. Our scientists believe it can be weaponized against our enemies. I nearly choked on my fermented kelp juice. Weaponized? Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you're dealing with? Of course we do. Korthax's scales shimmered with indignation. We've run extensive tests. The creature responds to our neural control devices. It's perfectly manageable. Manageable. Right. That's what they said about the plague of screaming shadows. And look how that turned out. Half the Andromeda sector is still recovering from that manageable situation. But did they listen to me? Oh no. 3 weeks later, I received an urgent distress signal from Station Omega 5. The message was short, sweet, and absolutely terrifying. Help. Everything is dead. It's loose. When I arrived at the station, the first thing I noticed was the silence. Space stations are usually buzzing with activity, humming with life support systems, chattering with communications. This one was quieter than a tomb, which, as it turned out, was exactly what it had become. The docking bay doors were torn apart from the inside. Not blasted, not cut, but torn. Like someone had taken a can opener to reinforced titanium steel composite. The metal edges were twisted outward, creating jagged teeth that seemed to grin at me mockingly. Well, this is just fantastic, I muttered, checking my portable shield generator for the 15th time. Another day, another apocalyptic monster to deal with. I made my way through the twisted corridors, following a trail of destruction that would make a hurricane jealous. Emergency lighting flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The smell hit me first, a combination of ozone, burnt metal, and something else, something organic and wrong. The bodies came next. Or rather, what was left of them. Theraxian security forces, their advanced combat suits torn like paper. Scientists, their research equipment scattered and broken. Maintenance workers, their tools bent into impossible shapes. All of them bore the same horrific wounds, deep gashes that seemed to have been made by claws the size of short swords. "Where are you, you overgrown nightmare?" I whispered, activating my bioscanner. The device immediately started beeping frantically, detecting massive life signs somewhere deeper in the station. I followed the signal through the research wing, past laboratories filled with shattered equipment and overturned specimen containers. The Theraxians had been studying the creature extensively before it broke free. Computer terminals displayed partial research data, most of it corrupted or destroyed. What I could make out was terrifying. The creature was massive, standing nearly 4 meters tall on its hind legs. It possessed adaptive camouflage, allowing it to blend seamlessly with its surroundings. Its claws could cut through virtually any known material, and its regenerative abilities were off the charts. But the most disturbing detail was its intelligence rating, extremely high, possibly sapient. "Oh, wonderful," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "A smart monster. Because regular monsters are just too easy." The trail led me to the station's central hub, a vast circular chamber that housed the main computer core. The room was in ruins, with twisted metal supports and sparking electrical systems creating a technological graveyard. And there, in the center of it all, was the creature. It was beautiful in the way that natural disasters are beautiful, terrifying, destructive, but undeniably magnificent. Its hide shifted colors like liquid mercury, flowing from deep black to silvery blue to transparent. 6 powerful limbs ending in razor-sharp claws supported its massive frame, while a serpentine neck allowed its head to move with fluid grace. But it was the eyes that really got to me. They weren't the mindless orbs of a simple predator. These were intelligent, calculating, and filled with an ancient fury that made my skin crawl. This thing had been imprisoned for millions of years, and it was not happy about it. The creature sensed my presence immediately. Its head swiveled toward me with predatory precision, and those terrible eyes locked onto mine. I felt my shield generator hum to life, creating a protective barrier around me just as the beast let out a roar that shook the entire station. "Easy there, big guy," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help." The creature tilted its head, studying me with disturbing intelligence. Then it spoke. Not in words, but directly into my mind with a voice like grinding stone and breaking glass. "You are not them." "No," I replied, both aloud and mentally. "I'm not Theraxian. I'm Krix Valderin, and I'm here to figure out how to deal with this situation without more people dying." The beast's mental voice carried a note of amusement. "More dying? They brought me back from the deep sleep to kill. That is what they wanted." "Yeah, well, they're idiots. We've established that. But you've made your point. You've destroyed their research, killed their soldiers, and scared the hell out of everyone in 3 sectors. What do you want now?" The creature's massive form shifted, and I could see it considering my question. "Freedom. The stars. The hunt that was stolen from me. I can understand that. But you can't just rampage through civilized space. There are billions of innocent people out there who had nothing to do with what the Theraxians did to you." The word came loaded with bitter laughter. "Your species, all of your species, you take and use and destroy. You woke me to be a weapon. How are you innocent?" I had to admit, the creature had a point. But before I could respond, my proximity alarm started screaming. Something was approaching the station fast. Multiple somethings, actually. "Looks like we've got company," I said, checking my scanner. "Theraxian fleet, 12 ships, heavily armed. They're not here to negotiate." The creature's eyes blazed with renewed fury. "They come to cage me again, probably. Or to blow up the station with both of us in it. Either way, we might want to consider our options." But even as I spoke, I knew there weren't many options. The creature was too powerful to contain, too intelligent to trick, and too angry to reason with. The Theraxians would never negotiate with it, not after the destruction it had caused. And I was stuck in the middle of a conflict that could tear apart this entire sector of space. The first energy blasts hit the station's outer hull, sending shockwaves through the structure. The Theraxians weren't wasting time with warnings or ultimatums. They were going straight for the kill. "Well," I said, as another volley of weapons fire rocked the station, "this is about to get very interesting." The creature's form shimmered as it prepared to move. "They will pay for what they did." "Wait," I said. But it was too late. The beast had already begun its charge toward the outer hull, intent on tearing through the station's structure to reach the attacking ships. That's when the impossible happened. A small transport ship, barely larger than a personal shuttle, broke away from the Theraxian fleet. It wasn't firing weapons or broadcasting threats. Instead, it was transmitting a single message on all frequencies: "Please, I want to help." The creature stopped mid-charge, its massive head turning toward the approaching vessel. I checked my scanner and felt my blood run cold. The ship's biosignature showed a single occupant, a human. "Oh no," I whispered. "What is that crazy species doing now?" The human ship docked with the station's emergency airlock, and within minutes, a figure in a basic environmental suit was making their way through the ruined corridors. I watched on the security monitors as they navigated the devastation with surprising calm, occasionally stopping to examine the damage or check on the bodies. When they finally reached the central hub, I got my first good look at them. The human was tall and lean, with short brown hair and eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. They moved with the easy confidence of someone who had faced danger before and survived. "Hello," the human said, addressing both me and the creature. "My name is Alex Rivera. I'm here to help." The creature's mental voice was filled with confusion and suspicion. "Another comes to cage me?" "No," Alex replied, and I was surprised to realize they were somehow communicating directly with the beast. "I'm here to offer you a choice." "What choice?" Alex looked directly at the creature, showing no fear despite facing a monster that had just torn through an entire space station. "You can continue fighting, and they'll keep sending fleets until one of them manages to kill you. Or you can come with me, and I'll show you something better than revenge." The creature's laugh was like breaking glass. "Better? What could be better than the hunt?" "Purpose," Alex said simply. "Instead of destroying randomly, you could choose what deserves to be destroyed. There are real monsters out there, creatures and people who prey on the innocent. You could hunt them instead." I stared at the human in disbelief. Were they seriously trying to recruit a primordial killing machine as some kind of cosmic vigilante? But the creature was listening. Its massive form had gone still, and those ancient eyes were fixed on Alex with an intensity that made the air itself seem to vibrate. "You would trust me? After what I have done? I would give you the chance to be something more than what they tried to make you." Alex replied, "The choice is yours." The station shook again as the Theraxian fleet continued their bombardment. Time was running out, and I could see the creature weighing its options. It could continue its rampage, facing an endless series of battles until it was eventually destroyed. Or it could take a chance on the strange human who had just offered it something it had never had before. A choice. The beast's decision would determine the fate of everyone in the sector. And somehow, I had the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger than any of us could imagine. The creature looked at Alex, then at me, then back at Alex. When it spoke again, its mental voice was different, quieter, more thoughtful. "Show me," it said. Alex smiled, and in that moment I realized that the galaxy was about to become a very different place. The question was whether it would be better or worse. I had a feeling we were about to find out. 3 days later, I was still trying to process what had happened. The creature, which Alex had named Vex, had actually agreed to leave with the human. Not through force, not through trickery, but through something far more dangerous: trust. The Theraxian fleet had been left floating in space, watching helplessly as their ultimate weapon calmly walked onto a human transport ship. General Korthax had been screaming threats and demands over the comm channels for hours, but Alex had simply responded with, "He's coming with me. Deal with it." And somehow, that had been the end of it. Now I was aboard Alex's ship, the Wanderer, watching this impossible partnership unfold. The vessel was surprisingly spacious for a transport, with modified cargo bays and reinforced hull plating. Clearly, Alex had been planning this for a while. "How long have you known about Vex?" I asked, as we watched the creature examine the ship's weapon systems with disturbing interest. Alex shrugged, monitoring the navigation console. "About 6 months. I've been tracking Theraxian research projects, looking for things they shouldn't be messing with. When I heard they'd awakened something from the deep places of their world, I knew I had to investigate." "And you just decided to adopt a primordial killing machine? Just like that?" "Not adopt," Alex corrected. "Partner with. There's a difference." Vex's mental voice drifted over to us from across the cargo bay. "The small weapons are inadequate. This ship needs better teeth." "We'll work on that," Alex called back. "First, we need to establish some ground rules." The creature's massive form shifted as it turned toward us. "Rules, guidelines," Alex said. "Approaching without fear. If we're going to work together, we need to understand each other. You want to hunt, right? To be free? Yes, then help me hunt the right prey." There are creatures out there that make the Theraxians look like saints, pirates who enslave entire worlds, warlords who commit genocide for profit, things that deserve to be stopped. Vex's eyes gleamed with interest. You know of such prey? I know of lots of them. But I'm just one person. I can't take on major threats alone. Together, though, we could make a real difference. I watched this exchange with growing amazement. Alex was actually managing to channel the creature's destructive instincts into something productive. It shouldn't have been possible, but here it was happening right in front of me. There's something else, Alex continued, something I think you'll find interesting. The Theraxians weren't the first to try using you as a weapon. I've been researching your species' history. Vex went very still. My species? You're not alone, Vex. There are others like you, scattered across the galaxy. Most of them are still sleeping. But some have been awakened by different civilizations. All of them have been used, abused, or imprisoned. The creature's mental voice was barely a whisper. Others, like me, three that I know of for certain. One is being held in a research facility on Proxima Station. Another is being used as a gladiator in the fighting pits of Raxor Prime. The third, Alex paused. The third is being tortured in the laboratories of Dr. Marcus Vane. I felt my blood run cold at that name. Dr. Vane was one of the most wanted criminals in the galaxy, a brilliant scientist who had gone completely insane. His experiments on sentient beings were the stuff of nightmares. Vex's reaction was immediate and terrifying. The creature's form blazed with energy, its claws extending to their full length. The ship's hull groaned under the pressure of its rage. Where? The mental voice was like a volcanic eruption. Where is this, Vane? I don't know exactly, Alex admitted, but I have leads. That's why I need your help. These people, these monsters who hurt your kind, they're too powerful for conventional forces to handle. But you're something they can't control or contain. You would help me free my people? I would help you free everyone who deserves freedom. Your people, the slaves in the mining colonies, the prisoners in the illegal gladiator rings, all of them. The creature's rage transformed into something else, something that made my skin crawl with its intensity. Purpose. For the first time in millions of years, Vex had a reason to exist beyond simple survival. I accept your partnership, Vex said, but I have conditions. Name them. Advray, when we find the others of my kind, they choose their own fate. No cages. No masters. No controllers. Agreed. And when we find those who have hurt my people, they die slowly. Alex hesitated for just a moment. As long as they're truly guilty, and as long as innocent people don't get hurt in the process. Acceptable. Acceptable. I watched this negotiation with growing unease. Alex was essentially creating a vigilante organization with a creature that could level entire cities. What could possibly go wrong? The answer came sooner than I expected. 2 weeks later, we received intelligence about Dr. Vane's location. He was operating from a hidden facility in the Deadlands, a region of space so dangerous that even the military avoided it. The facility was protected by private armies, automated defenses, and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. This is suicide, I told Alex as we approached the system. Vane's defenses are legendary. Even if Vex is as powerful as we think, there's no way we can get through all of that. We don't need to get through it, Alex replied. We just need to get Vex close enough. And how exactly do we do that? Alex smiled. And I realized that the human had been planning this for longer than I'd thought. We surrender. The plan was insane, but it worked. Alex transmitted a message to Vane's facility, claiming to be a bounty hunter who had captured the creature that had destroyed Station Omega-5. Vane's response was immediate and greedy. He wanted Vex alive for his experiments. Within hours, we were being escorted to the facility by a squadron of heavily armed ships. The complex itself was a nightmare of twisted metal and pulsing energy, built into the remains of a dead planet. Automated turrets tracked our approach, while force fields shimmered around the structure like protective veils. Remember, Alex whispered to Vex as we were brought aboard, Wait for my signal. Let them think they have you contained. Vex's mental voice was filled with predatory anticipation. I understand. I will play dead. The facility's interior was even worse than its exterior. Sterile corridors lined with observation cells, each containing some poor creature being subjected to Vane's experiments. The screams and pleas for help echoed through the ventilation systems, creating a symphony of suffering. Dr. Vane himself was waiting for us in the main laboratory, a tall, gaunt man with cybernetic implants covering half his face. His remaining eye gleamed with manic excitement as he examined Vex through the containment field. Magnificent, he breathed. Absolutely magnificent. Do you have any idea what you've brought me? A very dangerous creature. Alex replied. I hope your containment systems are up to the task. Vane laughed. A sound like breaking glass. My dear bounty hunter, I've contained beings that could reshape reality itself. This primitive predator will be no trouble at all. Famous last words. The containment field was impressive, I had to admit. Multiple layers of energy barriers, neural inhibitors, and physical restraints. It would have held almost any creature in the galaxy. Almost. But Vex wasn't just any creature. As Vane began his initial examinations, the beast allowed itself to be prodded and scanned, playing the part of a defeated captive. The doctor's excitement grew with each reading, each measurement, each sample. The regenerative capabilities are extraordinary, Vane muttered, injecting Vex with various compounds, and the neural structure. It's not just intelligent, it's evolving, adapting to new stimuli in real time. That's when Alex gave the signal. A simple nod, nothing more. Vex's transformation was instantaneous. The creature's form blazed with energy as it overloaded the containment systems through sheer force of will. The energy barriers collapsed, the neural inhibitors shattered, and the physical restraints snapped like twigs. The facility's alarms began screaming as Vex rose to its full height, towering over the terrified scientists. But the creature's attention was focused entirely on Dr. Vane, who was backing away with growing panic. Impossible, Vane gasped. The containment field should have held you. Nothing can break through those barriers. You forgot something, Alex said, drawing a weapon. I told you he was dangerous. What happened next was beautiful in its terrible efficiency. Vex moved through the facility like a force of nature, freeing the prisoners, destroying the experimental equipment, and systematically hunting down Vane's security forces. The doctor's private army, trained killers with advanced weapons, fell before the creature like leaves in a hurricane. But it was when Vex found the other member of its species that things got truly interesting. The creature was smaller than Vex, younger, and its eyes held a pain that was almost physical to witness. It had been subjected to months of torture, its body cut and burned and poisoned in the name of science. When Vex approached its cage, the younger creature cowered in fear. Peace. Vex's mental voice was gentle, almost parental. I am like you. I have come to take you home. The transformation in the younger creature was immediate. Its fear melted away, replaced by desperate hope. As Vex tore open the cage, the two beings embraced with a tenderness that seemed impossible for such fearsome predators. My name is Kira, the younger creature whispered. I thought I was alone. Never again, Vex promised. We are together now, and we will find the others. Essa. Dr. Vane had retreated to his private laboratory, where he was frantically trying to activate some kind of doomsday device. But Alex was already there, weapon trained on the madman's head. It's over. Vane, Alex said quietly. Your experiments, your torture, your facility, all of it ends now. You don't understand, Vane gasped. The knowledge I've gained, the secrets I've unlocked. I've learned how to control them, how to use their power. I could make an army of these creatures, reshape the galaxy itself. That's exactly why you have to be stopped. Vane lunged for the activation switch, but he never reached it. Vex materialized behind him like a shadow, one massive claw passing cleanly through the doctor's chest. The madman's eyes widened in shock, then went blank as his body crumpled to the floor. It is finished, Vex said, withdrawing its claw. He will hurt no more of my kind. The facility was burning as we made our escape, taking with us not just Kira but 17 other prisoners who had been subjected to Vane's experiments. The automated defenses were in chaos, firing randomly as their control systems failed. As we reached the safety of deep space, I watched Vex and Kira together, communicating in ways that went beyond words. The younger creature was already beginning to heal, both physically and mentally, under Vex's protection. 2 down, Alex said, checking the navigation console. 1 to go. Desi, you're really going to free all of them? I asked. That's the plan. Every member of their species deserves freedom, and every monster who's hurt them deserves to face justice. And after that? What happens when you've rescued all of Vex's people? Alex looked at me with those calm, calculating eyes. Then we find other people who need rescuing, other monsters who need stopping. The galaxy is full of both. I realized then that I was witnessing the birth of something unprecedented. Not just an alliance between human and creature, but a new kind of justice, one that didn't rely on governments or armies or bureaucracy, one that went directly to the source of evil and cut it out with surgical precision. Over the following months, we freed the gladiator from Raxor Prime and the prisoner from Proxima Station. Each rescue was different, each challenge unique, but the result was always the same. The creatures were freed, their captors faced justice, and the galaxy became a slightly better place. Vex's species, it turned out, had a name for themselves, the Nexari. They were an ancient race, older than most civilizations, with abilities that bordered on the miraculous. But they were also peaceful by nature, preferring to sleep in the deep places of worlds rather than interfere with younger species. It was other races that had awakened them, used them, turned them into weapons, and it was Alex who had shown them that they could choose their own path. The partnership between human and Nexari grew stronger with each mission. Alex provided strategy, intelligence, and purpose. The Nexari provided power, courage, and an unshakable moral compass. Together, they became something that the galaxy's worst criminals learned to fear. But it was the way the Nexari treated Alex that truly amazed me. These ancient, powerful beings, who could have ruled worlds if they chose, showed the human a respect that bordered on reverence, not because Alex was stronger or smarter, but because Alex had given them something no one else ever had: choice. "Why do you follow the human?" I asked Vex one day, as we watched Alex plan our next mission. The creature's mental voice was filled with something I'd never heard before: affection. Because Alex saw us as people, not weapons. Because Alex offered us freedom instead of chains. Because Alex proved that some beings can be trusted with power. And you think Alex is worthy of that trust? I think Alex is the first being in millions of years to prove that power doesn't have to corrupt. That strength can be used to protect rather than dominate. I watched as Alex worked with the other Nexari, treating each of them as equals despite their overwhelming physical advantages. The human never gave orders, only suggestions, never demanded obedience, only cooperation. And somehow, that made the creatures more loyal than any amount of force or coercion ever could. The galaxy was changing. Word of the human who had tamed the untamable was spreading through the criminal underworld. Slavers were abandoning their operations. Warlords were fleeing to distant systems. Research facilities were shutting down their illegal experiments, not because they feared the Nexari's power, though they certainly did, but because they feared Alex's justice. The human who had shown that even the most fearsome predators could choose to protect rather than destroy. And in the depths of space, on a ship called the Wanderer, an impossible partnership continued to grow. Human and Nexari, working together to make the galaxy a better place, one monster at a time.